Yo, 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 we in this bitch. Y'all know what it is. The AC 15th anniversary
We want to
celebration.
celebrate our 15th
Oh,
anniversary with you by
y'all know
releasing
how I
a
love
free title
Assassin's
update
Creed,
that our
so
community has been
this shit right up
passionately
my
asking
alley.
for.
Let me
60 frames per
go
second
grab my
support
cup
for
of coffee.
Assassin's
Y'all
Creed
watch
Origins
this
is
and
now
cut this on
available.
TV, yo.
Experience ancient Egypt under the reign of Cleopatra, now in 60 FPS on Xbox and PlayStation next-gen consoles. To celebrate with all of our players, we will be hosting a free weekend for Assassin's Creed Origins from June 16th to June 20th. The beautiful world of ancient Egypt is a great place to start revisiting and celebrating past Assassin's Creed games. Our 15th anniversary is about rewarding you for your incredible support. To get started, several sets of Assassin's Creed Origins tattoos, along with a naval pack, will be available this week in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Right now, head to our anniversary website and learn more on how to get involved with the celebrations. Take part in our weekly challenges for a chance to earn prizes and share your favorite Assassin's Creed memories by using hashtag AC15 as we leap into history. Join us this September as we unveil the future of Assassin's Creed during a very special event. We can't wait to show you what's in store.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Assassin's Creed 15th Anniversary Celebration event. My name is Yusuf. I'll be one of your hosts today. I'm joined by my co-host, Chassie Vicencio. Chassie, how are you today?
Hey, I'm excited. That was very exciting stuff. So I'm happy to be here to celebrate Assassin's Creed with all of you. And we have a special guest, Yusuf.
Oh, yes, we do. We are joined by Assassin's Creed producer, Jose Ariza. Jose, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is exciting and thrilling all at once.
Yes, we are very happy to be showcasing all the news and announcements that y'all just saw. But we're also going to be hanging out with y'all for a little bit right now and showing off the Assassin's Creed Origins 60 frames per second boost. We're playing it right now. As you can see, I am riding on the back of my camel on the way to Alexandria. Jose, this game was already beautiful, silky smooth. The 60 frames per second boost just makes it doubly more so. It feels so good to play.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's interesting. I just reloaded it into my console. I started playing it again, and it's amazing. Just seeing it sort of refreshed and I don't know. There's a certain elegance to it. The desert, the grandiosity of it. It's pretty awesome to see it in 60 frames and see how beautiful it looks.
Yeah, I agree. And like honestly, I haven't been back to Egypt, in quite some time now. I think it's been about like 2 years since I've played Origins, and it just feels so good to be back. I started a new game plus here. You can see I'm already level 55.
Yeah, you've
Awesome,
already
awesome.
played plenty of this game, so now you're jumping back into New Game
Yes,
Plus,
exactly.
as one does. Yeah, but it looks beautiful. Jose, so let's celebrate this game, celebrate Assassin's Creed. So yeah, Origins. Tell us about your role on this game. You were a producer.
God, that feels like a lifetime ago. So at that point, I believe I was associate producer, and I was in charge of basically being the liaison with all other Codip studios. It was a massive production, and it was my pleasure to be able to work with all the studios that were participating. Sofia, Singapore, Bucharest. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Sorry, but it's been it's been quite a while, and it was amazing being part of this production. It was also officially my first full Assassin's Creed production, as I had just joined the studio, and it was amazing, being part of this entire production with so many awesome, talented people, passionate people. It was also a really interesting time of the franchise, obviously re-envisioning what Assassin's Creed would be for the future. So it was thrilling and nerve-wracking to say the least.
I imagine
Yeah,
there must have been
absolutely.
a lot of excitement and maybe internal pressure that you were feeling of bringing the game back, the brand back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Assassin's Creed is beloved by players around the world,
Yes,
right?
it
And there's a
is.
certain expectation
Yes, it is.
what the brand is, what the brand, the tenets and pillars of the brand. It was really fascinating trying to find out how do we bring Assassin's Creed into an open world? How do we give agency to the players of how they play it, how they consume, and there were so many changes. It's funny watching it right now. It feels like, yeah, of course, this is exactly how it should have been. For the player perspective, maybe, this feels like, yes, of course. Why would it be anything other than this? But when you're on the other side of, pre-production, production, asking all those questions of, what is the DNA of the brand? What is really Assassin's Creed? The areas where we could experiment or not, or evolve the brand and certain things that we absolutely wanted to keep. So yeah, it was fascinating. It was preserving the DNA while evolving at the same time.
Speaking that, as long as you talk about DNA, my favorite thing and the one thing to me that I never get tired of in Assassin's Creed is these sync points. And so, as long as these are here, I'm always going to be a happy camper. It's just one of my favorite things. I never get tired of them, even after doing them.
I never get tired of
across every
too much in
AC,
Assassin's Creed.
so many
ever.
times. It's, to me, nothing showcases what the verticality, the beauty of AC like those.
Yeah, even that's a perfect point, right? People assume that sync points are always there. They're a given. They're hit the easy button and it's done. But even within the context of Egypt, right? Like saying, how do we want the camera to move? Oh my God, now we're in a massive open world and you can see very far into the background. Making sure that it was the right camera movement, the right speed, all these little things that players don't see. We had to like reassess under this open world scenario.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
By the way,
say that.
Sorry,
What's
go
that?
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say. By the way, I noticed that my camera is really bright. This is obviously to be themed with the
It
desert.
bathes in light.
Yeah. It's I'm in the desert.
He's coming to us live from Alexandria. That's
Oh shit!
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Hell yeah!
Also, yes, we are live. We can see the chat, so if you have any questions about AC Origins for Jose, drop them in the chat and we'll ask them. So yes, we do see you, and Yusuf is playing in real time right now, so that is
Man.
happening.
Oh,
We
I
are
sure
playing this AC Origins
playing on
in
PC?
60 FPS on PS5. It's
Oh, okay.
also available on Xbox Series X and S, so you can jump into that. And if you missed that video earlier, there's a free weekend coming for AC Origins, June 16th to the 20th. So if you haven't played or want to jump back in, go for it on Xbox and PlayStation next-gen consoles and play 60 FPS. But yeah, we are live, so if you have questions, please let us know in the chat. But Jose, I'll start with a question for you. So I saw an internal interview with you at Ubisoft, and you said your best memory was working here was E3 2017, and you said getting AC Origins into people's hands for the first time. So can you tell me more about that and what that moment was like?
Yeah. Oof. Let me see if I can vocalize it right. The production had already been going, I think, for 3 years at a time, and everybody was working really hard to re-envision, to move the brand, to evolve the brand into this new open world. There's a lot of changes that went into this. We went from a mission-driven system to a quest-driven system that you could consume however you wanted. There were so many changes that went into this, and obviously, the people that work in the brand love the brand. They love Assassin's Creed, and is sort of doing this meditation of everything we wanted to bring into Origins. And obviously, every choice we made was because we really truly felt, every director, every producer, everybody in the team that really felt that was the right choice, the right thing to do. But nobody had seen it. So for me specifically, being part of that E3, doing the private demos, there was this moment of exhilaration that you're happy to share what the team has been working on, and especially for me, I was thrilled to be able to be on the floor, to give the demos, to represent the team and the directors and everybody, and it's a huge honor to be part of the brand and to represent everybody's hard work and talent. But on the other hand, it was nerve-wracking. You know,
Of
nobody had
course. I
seen
can
it.
only imagine.
Nobody knew what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, yeah. And you give the controller to a player. A lot of them are media. A lot of them are streamers, YouTuber, some celebrities even. You know, we're in LA
Mm-hmm.
at E3, and there's this moment that you're super proud, you're super excited, you want to show it, but also a part of you is saying, "Oh my God, please, please like it." And we hope that that you see what we see. We hope that this really our vision translates and it's able to be understood by people. And those very first demos that I gave, it was phenomenal. You know that fear, but also you're looking, you give the controller to somebody and you're looking at them and you're like, yeah, no, yeah,
It's like, so are you like just directly looking? Are you kind of looking away, or are you just like nervous about that? That sounds
Well,
very
in
nerve-wracking.
some
Yeah.
in some cases, some people say, no, no, you drive. I want you to see you play it. You
Yeah,
also get
yeah.
some of the media people that are so stoic, and you're playing, you're explaining, and then their total poker face, just like, and you
Yes.
don't know, like, are you loving it? Are you hating it?
Yeah.
And at the same time, as we progress, giving more demos, uh, I think there was one person that actually said, "You've given me the Assassin's Creed that I never knew I wanted, and it's phenomenal." Uh,
Oh my gosh.
you can probably see me getting a little emotional because it was so amazing just being there and seeing people say, "This is exactly. I didn't know I wanted this, but this is exactly what it should be." Giving the demos also, you noticed all the NPCs. We had the smart, the Meta AI network, having the same demo or having people play the exact portion of the game, but seeing different results, seeing different enemies, the wildlife. At some point, I think it was an alligator and a hippo get into a fight, and the guy's like, "Oh, was that supposed to happen?" And I said, "No, honestly, I've never seen that. I don't know what events happened for those two animals to be in that location and fight." But it was nerve-wracking and it was amazing, and it was such a communal sigh of relief and saying, yes, we did deliver. Yes, people agree with our vision. We still held the pillars of the brand, the DNA, and yeah, it was I think cathartic. It was a very cathartic moment for me, and it was also my first Assassin's Creed production, right? So for me, there was also that element of I'm joining sort of at this time of change, at this nexus of change, and you're thinking, God, please, I hope it goes well. I hope that
That's an
you know
exciting time to join, though. Yeah, that sounds like an ideal time to join
exciting and also
almost.
yeah, and also terrifying, right?
Sure.
Sure.
We always do our best work, hoping that everybody will love it, hoping that everybody will be entertained. It's sort of that saying that nobody has an ugly baby, right? So it's that moment where you show people the baby, and you're like, I hope people like the baby.
Speaking of,
Yeah.
I love this scene so much. It's our first introduction to Aya here,
Oh, I is great.
and like I think to me, like, it was just so cool seeing a husband and wife that were like in love and had, like, obviously, they are on a quest to avenge the death of their son, but it was like, it was a healthy relationship, and I feel like that's something that's so rare to see in games.
Yeah, and it's amazing also that you get to see the trajectory of from the past to the present, if you want to say to the future, when you meet them again in the Hidden Ones. Uh, and we were so attuned to their relationship that we felt, in the Hidden Ones, we needed to acknowledge, right? They have that moment where we're sort of them saying, you know what, it's okay, we did well.
Yeah.
But seeing that trajectory, and it's funny because it wasn't a big speech, it wasn't melodramatic. It was just a moment where I feel, and I hope that we captured that the journey as a couple, as people, as human beings that they had, and in the end, just saying, you know what, we don't need to give a big speech. We're okay. We're cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually, it's. I'm so happy you bring that up. That is one of my favorite moments in gaming. Period. It's just after Bayek and Aya have been, separated at the end of, the game, and them coming back together and reuniting there for that moment. There's a shot where they're
breaking
foreheads
up yet
touch
again.
and, like, they embrace, and like it fills my heart every time.
It's super nice to hear you say that. I know the narrative team worked really hard to give value to that moment without being giving over exposition of what the player should or should not be feeling, or what Bayek and Aya should be feeling. So it was that subtlety, I think, was represented throughout the game, right? Carrying the spectrum of emotions of Bayek's quest, his motivations, Aya's motivation, the rift between them, all these little things that we want the player to be emotionally connected to.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think it was a complete success, at least for me. That's my opinion on it.
No, it's
Ooh,
agreed. Very strong story. Just their relationship is just something you don't forget from this series. It's just so well written.
we get the first hidden blade.
Yeah, I'll show it.
Ooh, be careful.
Don't point that at your face. Oh,
There you go.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I was hype as fuck too. I was like, oh shit, the first one, the
It's
real
funny,
first blade,
too, Jose. You were saying earlier.
not the one that was in Odyssey.
You were talking about showing this game to people for the first time, and them saying, "Oh, this isn't." I didn't realize this is what I wanted, but it's exactly what I wanted. I had a slightly similar but slightly different impression of when Origins was first announced and when we first got to play it. It was also at the very beginning of my Ubisoft journey here. But the way I don't think I've actually told you, I happen to be Egyptian. And so Origins is always the game I wanted, but never actually thought I would ever get. And then
You were not the only one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That was
that's
a
how I felt.
top request by the fans. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
they're never gonna
But,
make one based in
I
Africa.
think even more so, as you were talking about the new
I was wrong.
quest system and how much was put into. Actually, I don't think I'm going the right way. How much was put into the culture, the time period, the setting. To me, it felt like a game that so wholeheartedly embraced Egypt and its people. Not only of the time, but the location itself, and it was everything I could have hoped for and more. And I always say, because of that, it's the most important Assassin's Creed to me.
That's amazing to hear. And back when we were doing the press tour for Origins, one of the proudest speaking points to me was all the research that went into this, all the working with Egyptologists, trying to absorb, and we're not just Assassin's Creed as a brand. It's not just about being in a setting and a place, but understanding, right? Honoring the magnitude of what used to be the Egyptian Empire at that point. Understanding the context, understanding the significance of Cleopatra, right? That was everybody knows Cleopatra, but I don't think everybody appreciates all the nuance to her rising to power. The fact that the pyramids were already ancient by the time she arrived. All this layer upon layer upon layer, and we really I was obviously one of the masses that had never really dug too deep, so we know pop culture references of Egypt. We know the pyramids exist. We know the Sphinx. We know Cleopatra. We know all these things because they're sort of in the ether out there, right? But digging into this and really, at least for me, educating myself and seeing this represented in 3D on the screen with elegance, with respect, and really honoring, like how magnificent it really was. So it's amazing to hear you say that, and I think that's one of the awesome things about Assassin's Creed in general, like being able to reflect and honor some of these older cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and
Absolutely.
I know I'm not alone in this when I say that I have learned a ton about history through Assassin's Creed, going all the way back to the very first game, and I'm sure every time we play these games, we have people coming out in chat telling us that they've learned as much from AC as they have from a textbook.
Pretty much.
And I know that Discovery Tour is something that was implemented for the first time with the Origins. I was wondering if you can speak a little bit about that, and obviously Viking Age now is coming standalone to consoles as well. What has that whole experience been like?
I would love to answer your question, but I have a question for you first.
Oh, hit me.
Was there anything that you didn't know, coming from Egypt that you didn't know that you learned while playing Origins that you were like, oh, that's that's surprising.
That's a really good question. So I actually thought I knew quite a bit because I studied classical architecture. That was what my degree was in. So I studied Greek, Roman, and to a little lesser extent Egypt. So I wasn't super familiar with Egyptian architecture in that way. But one of the things that I love that I never really realized, because even when you do study Egyptian architecture, it's usually not of this time period. It's usually the pyramids and
Yeah.
the old kingdom. And so one of the things that I think Origins does such a good job of that I never really realized is that at the time of Cleopatra, Cleopatra is essentially as much Greek as she is Egyptian, and this is a time when the Romans are coming to Egypt, when they're Alexandria is a Greek city, and the thing that this game showed to me and taught me was that at this time during Ptolemaic Egypt, Egyptians themselves were kind of second class citizens in their own homeland. So that was something I learned just by playing the game, not even getting into Discovery Tour and all the things you learn in Discovery Tour. So that's my answer for you.
It's interesting. Like obviously seeing Alexandria be reconstructed because it had to be reconstructed from all the information, data, plans that we had. How much of it doesn't exist, right? Right. It's But anyways, to answer your question about Discovery Tour, it was all this research, right? We had to do an amazing amount of research. We collaborated with museums around the world, trying to get artifacts, scans, information. We obviously knew that we wanted to be as genuine as possible and get as much information as we could to be educated, right? And to really pay homage to the culture. During all the research, working with Egyptologists and really absorbing this, we realized there's so much mystery, magic, so much information that hasn't been collected in a way that can be digested. And obviously we wanted to share this information, right? It's like we wrote a thesis on Egyptology, but how do you share that without saying, wait, stop the gameplay, stop fighting that dude, and listen to this story that we have to tell you. And that was basically how Discovery Tour was born, saying we've learned so much, and there's so much here that is so exciting and mysterious and amazing. How do we share that? And obviously going through the thought process of, well, we want this to be accessible not just for players but also for children and schools. Okay, we need to remove the combat.
Which was
we need
fucking
to make
smart.
it as accessible as possible. We need to highlight. We can't share everything, but how do we highlight? And you've seen even with the Discovery Tour the evolution, from Origins to now the Viking Age. We're still trying to find ways to entertain while being educational. And I know educational is not a loved word by everybody, but there's a lot of really cool stuff that you read it, and like the factoid about the pyramids were already there when Cleopatra ascended to the throne, and they were already ancient. People, when I share that with people, a lot of people would say, "What? Oh, I thought they were built for her," or all this like information that is not correct that is out there.
Nobody built the fucking pyramid.
Correcting it and really
No.
helping people to contextualize that. This
Bitch was
ancient
important. Bitch wasn't that
civilization
goddamn
that
important.
rose to amazing heights for that period, and even the occupation, right, of the Romans, how long they coexisted together. Cleopatra ascending to the throne as a woman, in after the failure of her, the other pharaohs. All this was super intriguing, and it was phenomenal to learn about and also to share with people through the Discovery Tour.
Yeah, and that's another thing I think this game does a great job of too, is showing how all these cultures combined, and how their gods combined, even in their religious beliefs and cultural beliefs, all come together, and that how prevalent that was throughout history. But I love that Cleopatra fact, that Cleopatra and Bayek, lives closer to today than they did to the building of the pyramids.
It's wild.
Very true.
I stopped here for like a real specific reason, and this is like, honestly, this is when I realized how much research and time and effort was put into this game is when I saw these stones here in the middle of the street. And I remember tweeting this out at the time, and like, you know, it was the closest I had ever gone to going viral at the time. When I saw these, because I was shocked. Like these are crosswalks, y'all. Like these are ancient crosswalks, and the reason there are these elevated stones in the middle of the street is because oftentimes in ancient cities you would just have sewage basically running through the streets, or rainwater, or whatever, you know, what have you. But you would need elevated places for people to cross, and the reason it's not just a straight slab of of raised portion is that you still need carriages and carts to be able to pass through. So you have these, you know, horse-drawn carriages pass through, and their wheels are meant to go in between all these stone tabs, but pedestrians are meant to cross on top of them, so they're not getting their feet dirty and things like that from everything that's running in the streets. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, this is something that, like, you know, 0.01% of players would ever even notice, ever even think about, ever know existed, but and no one would miss if it wasn't there. But the development team put in that extra time and effort because they wanted to make it as realistic as possible, and that blew me away.
You know, trust me, the level of research that was put into Origins was impressive. You know, it's flora, fauna. Even at one point, we even had the discussion of anything that we built, any location, what is the percentage of wood that you could use? Because guess what? There's not a lot of wood in Egypt, right? Even the materials, like what type of rock, you know, all of this had to be true to the culture, to what was available to them. It's strange to be talking about building a location, a military fort, and saying, no, wait. You cannot use more than X amount of wood because wood was precious at that point. You know, and players probably don't, you know, necessarily focus on that because they're busy playing. But all these little things that we have to say, well, no, it has to feel as authentic as possible, right? Even the stones on the floor, the patterns, all these things that could just be taken as artistic choices, they're actually very informed and based on all the research that was done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things that, you know, even if you're not, you're maybe aware of them, it comes through in the end. Ooh, let's not die.
All right, I want to address the chat and say hi to them because they've been asking some questions. The chat's been flying by, so I've grabbed as many as I could. And so thank you for sending your love. Thank you for sending your questions in. Just want to shout out some people who are sharing some love. Dr. XY said, I love this game series so much. Thank you for your incredible experience. Devster said, thank you, Ubisoft, for doing this event and these kind of games. I love it. Nick Nakamata said, I'm glad I can finally play in 60 FPS. Time to revisit Origins. And then Enigmar said, just wanted to tell you how amazing AC Origins was. Thanks to the work of all the team and how it raised the accessibility of the franchise. I was able to play AC games again. It changed my life in many ways. Love hearing that stuff. So thank you for sharing your stories. That's all amazing stuff. So let's go to some questions. So Taryn Walker earlier asked, what were the biggest challenges in bringing Assassin's Creed to an open world for the first time?
Oof. All of them.
All of them.
I mean, there was so much. I mean, obviously, the going into an open world, how you play that open world, right? Because we should be able to go wherever you want to go, whenever you want to go. Trying to find this formula, going from a mission-driven system to a quest system. Changing the combat, that was huge, right? Because now you're in an open world where you can be surrounded by animals or NPCs and enemies. Changing the combat from our old system to a hitbox system, which was, it means that if you have a long axe and you spin around and the enemies are near you, you should be able to hit every single one of them. You know, it's no longer the queue system of I'm only fighting the guy that's in front of me. Take your ticket, and, now serving enemy 355 step up. It's sort of all these rationalization of how do we give players a choice to basically do anything they wanted, go anywhere they wanted. There was also the big question of the desert, right? To be honest, the first time I heard, oh, we're doing Assassin's Creed in Egypt in the desert, I thought of the pyramids, but I also thought, oh, that's a lot of desert, right? Like, how do we address that?
Yeah.
How do we direct the player to pockets of content? How do we still make
It's
it
like
interesting,
shit. It's gonna be
entertaining?
a very vast
You
area.
know, the sandstorm, that was a huge challenge. You know, because it has to look good. Right? It has to look good, and you have to be
True
able
that.
to appreciate it, feel like it's there. If it needs to be substantial. Constructing the pyramids, that was also, I think, that
my
we
gosh.
absolutely could not get wrong. You know, and it's not just
Yes.
the visual of the pyramids, but also climbing the pyramids, sliding down the pyramids. Um, an interesting anecdote, even I'm sure you guys probably remember there was a slight interesting factoid after the game ship when we sort of predicted. I forget which
Predator
one of the
arrow.
pyramids it was. I think it was the Great Pyramid where we sort of speculated that there should have been a chamber, and
Yes,
then
I remember this.
yeah, and then a month later, Egyptologists discovered that there was indeed
Yeah.
a chamber where we predicted, because we did all the research, and we knew we had to get it right, right? We knew people like you, Yusuf, who are Egyptian or of Egyptian descent, we had to get it right. We couldn't just you know make up whatever we wanted. So it was amazing that our research led to us saying, we really feel that there should be a chamber here because structurally the way it's built. So we sort of theorized, and then I think it was a month or 2 months after the game was released, uh, you know, it was discovered and it was verified that indeed there was a chamber there. I think at one point players were accusing us of being Templars because we had this information, which is the best compliment I guess that we could get. But yeah, there was a lot of it that was a challenge, and not just
That's good.
honoring the brand, but also honoring the Egyptian culture at that point. It was a little stressful, let's say.
A little stressful, yes.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. Rafferty Rules Twitch said, "Wow, that's so cool, top tier research." And Spliff said, "Thank you so much for Origins. Have hundreds of happy hours with this wonderful game." Oh, glad to hear it. Thank you guys.
That's awesome. And to let everyone know too, we're going to be playing for a little bit longer here, but our showcase here of the AC Origins is not going to be the end of the stream. After this, we have news coming from AC Stories. So the Assassin's Creed extended storytelling, including comics, graphic novels, manga. So stay tuned. There will be a lot more information too about further AC stories.
That's right. And there's plenty more to come in the coming months, so please just stay tuned. We're celebrating AC
Depending on how
for
long
a
this
long
go, I ain't gonna be on
time.
too long, 'cause
And
the
then,
nigga gotta go
as
to work.
mentioned, if you missed the video earlier, there's a special event in September to learn
I
more.
will be back
And
around
if you want to
4
learn
o'clock,
more
though.
about what you missed earlier in
Do
the
some
stream,
league
head
play
to
and some other
Assassin's
shit.
Creed 15.com and you'll get all your information there. But we can kind of go over some of the big highlights from what was mentioned in the first 6 minutes, Jose. And you were in that video, so we've got
Unfortunately, yes.
No, it was great. So year 2 content for ACV, free to all players. That's very exciting. Tell us a little bit more about that from what you mentioned in the video.
Oh my god. So second year of AC Valhalla free content. Obviously, we're doing the second part. We just did the second part to Mastery Challenge, Tombstone the Fallen, and I guess there's that little surprise, the Forgotten Saga, which is let me think of my PR training to not give any spoilers. We obviously announced that it's inspired, very roguelite inspired. We wanted to sort of explore. For those of you that are fans that have been with us in Valhalla since the beginning, you probably have heard me say in the past that we wanted to explore, right? We wanted to experiment. We invited players to come with us. And this is sort of the culmination of that exploration of saying, it's such a rich brand, and taking the historical, taking the mythological, for those ancient cultures, it's literally impossible to separate the two, right? People literally woke up and went to bed acknowledging deities and all the values that they had. I think the Forgotten Saga is the culmination of that, of us saying, let's explore, let's try something else, let's step outside of our comfort zone. Let's find a way to tell this story. Obviously, for the people that are familiar with the mythology, they probably know the myth of Baldur. For the players that played Dawn of Ragnarok, they sort of know what triggered Ragnarok, having this moment to tell the story of, as a father, what would Odin do, right? To rescue your son, to get him back, to not have him live in this dishonorable death, and basically coming up with the gameplay around this moment and say, you know what, we're gonna go in a different direction. It's still Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's still, you know, if you play the main game, you're gonna play this and say, yes, I get the controls, I understand everything, but also sort of turning some of the formula upside down. Much like a roguelite, obviously you're intended to die. The more that you play and die, the more powerful you get. As you sort of get kicked out of Niflheim, the story unwraps, and then you should really understand what's happening, and you really there's some subtlety to the storytelling as to why Odin is trying and what it means to him. You know, he's not there as Odin, the old father. He's there as
Odin the father.
You know, he's not welcome there. He's depowered. He sort of needs to build his power up to be able to rescue Baldur. I think that's all I can say without giving any spoilers. But for sure, you know what?
That's plenty.
The best part is that it's an exploration. Is the team sort of saying, you know what? Let's try something else. Let's do something else. Let's give something unique to the players.
Players.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So you know, and to be honest, it's been amazing having the community be part of this journey with us, and we've been listening to the feedback. You know, exploring, trying new things, growing from the feedback. The Forgotten Saga is sort of the culmination of a lot of ideologies that we merged. A lot of you know, new things that we wanted to try. I hope that players play it and like it. You know, it's another E3 moment, right, where we say, okay, we're going a different direction to be experimental. We think this is really cool, and we hope players also think it's cool.
I want to point out a comment that Rad Dude said in the chat, where said Jose is great. You can really tell his passion for the AC brand, and yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if there are any other questions. So I've got one from YOBZ who said, "What's your favorite aspect about Bayek?"
That's a tough question.
Mine was the customization, the hair customization.
Well, you know,
like, you
man,
give
there's
him
so
a beard,
many,
get
I
him
don't
a
wanna,
dreads, give him a
you know,
fade, all
minimize
that
it.
shit.
I think to me
At his story,
who he is,
Yeah.
the fact that you know, he's a mage, he feels the duty, but it's not just a duty, it's not just a job, right? He really wants to preserve the ancient culture of Egypt, right? And it's a time of turmoil, and I think as human beings, we all have that, right? We want to stay true to our.
it's like he was
morals. We
trying
want
not to let the Romans blot out, you know,
make
what
sure
Egypt
that
was.
who we are, what we believe in, is reflected in what we do. You know, we were talking before the stream about, you know, how kids love Bayek because he is this figure of
Like, it's okay to evolve, just don't forget where you
an
came from.
upstanding citizen that is there to protect the people, that is there to preserve their quality of life. You know, you could say that he's a sheriff, but he's really not just a sheriff because he honestly, really, truly wants to do good for the people, right? He really, truly embodies this role, heart and soul. And I think seeing his journey, you know, it's inspiring in some ways, because I think as human beings we all have that of you know, we want to do good. We want to do good by not just ourselves but the people around us.
Come on, Yusef,
and
you
he
got
sort
a
of
hair,
embodies
something,
this,
bruh.
and how far he will go in his journey for this.
Forgot
He'll
that
go pretty
little-
far. Yeah.
That's a really good
Yeah,
answer,
yeah.
though.
Yeah, that's a good
And
answer.
like, I feel that really hard because you know, one of the things that Origins allowed you to do, which I'm a big fan of, obviously, is you know, customize Bayek's hair, right? You could have long hair, no beard, long hair. You know,
Thank
I
you.
tend to go for
I'm
the.
so glad
short
I
hair
wasn't
on
the
top
only
of the
one.
beard, you know.
No, I always
Oh,
pick
I wanna
dreads.
watch-
Yeah.
Always gotta get dreads.
But the other thing I really like is that you can choose whether or not to keep Bayek's hood up or not, like
Yeah.
up or down. And to me,
How the
I
old-
never
that's how the
put
old
hood up.
Assassin's
That's
Creed
just me.
used to be.
There's no wrong way to do it. Obviously, you can absolutely play with the hood if you like. But to me, it was because of everything you just said that Bayek is a magi. He is a protector of the people of Egypt. He is not, you know, at this time in the story, he is not someone who is hiding and working in the shadows. He's a protector of
Like the
people of Egypt,
Brotherhood
and he has
basically
nothing
doesn't even
to be
exist
ashamed
at
of
this
for
moment
that,
in the game.
or nothing to hide from in that aspect. And it's important to him that he is there for the people of Egypt, and that he is visible to them. So I always kept the hood down because of that.
As I'm speaking, I'm realizing that maybe there is a metaphor in there somewhere about who Bayek is in sort of his evolution of wanting to stay true to the old, but also embracing the new and moving forward and finding out how he best can be there for the people. Maybe this is a metaphor also of Origins itself, right? Trying to preserve the DNA of the brand and also doing it right by the players and saying, well, it's time to evolve and we're going to take the good, all the traditions of what are AC and push them forward. I don't know if the writers intended that, but it feels like there's a metaphor in there somewhere.
I think yeah, they would. I'm sure they would tend to agree.
I just want to mention again that Assassin's Creed Origins is available on 60 FPS on Xbox and PS next-gen consoles, and there's a free weekend. There we go, free weekend, June 16th to the 20th. So you should jump back in or play for the first time if you've never played before. It's
Oh yeah, the bathhouse mission.
And so for everything you missed earlier, we had some announcements at the beginning of the stream.
Ladder over to the
Head to
left.
AssassinsCreed15.com to
you gotta
learn
climb
more.
up, walk across, scale across the top.
So we have our first true assassination here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We've infiltrated this bathhouse.
man, I remember this mission like it was yesterday.
We're trying to assassinate Eudoris with nothing but our hidden blade.
See, you gotta-
Bayek's first assassination out here with the hidden blade.
You need to crawl. You need to find the
It's
ladder.
wild seeing this again. It's, giving me
The ladder to your
total
left.
flashbacks.
Because you're not
This
gonna
to
be
me
able to walk
is what
past
Assassin's
them
Creed is
niggas.
all about. Like there's your target. The entrance is guarded. You're not just walking right in.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get about this?
Yeah, there's a link in the chat now for the free weekend if you want more information.
What are you doing? What are you doing? You gonna bring attention
Yusuf,
to
do you have
yourself.
any hot goss on Ptolemy?
Hot goss on Ptolemy specifically. Ooh. No, oh gosh, nothing that comes
Okay.
to mind.
Okay, I will say I've
A
never
little
crawled
bit,
up the wall that
scuffling
way.
Here with
Yeah. Sorry, I'll let you. I'll
You
let
do your
get to it
thing.
before you get
You do
caught.
your
Sorry.
thing.
I crawled up on the
And
other
the free
side.
weekend, so someone was asking if it was PC only. No, it's also on Xbox, PlayStation, and Stadia, in addition to PC.
Shout out to the back hair representation too in this game. You love to see that.
Oh.
Oh.
Mystery solved. Remember
Iconic moment.
Those moments that we wanted to explain to players why the salute, and him losing his finger and how that became iconic for the brand in a way.
Yeah, that was. I remember gasping the first time I saw that of being like, oh, that's why, and it was really out of desperation more so than anything else.
But just also due to weapon mechanics, it literally just, that shit helps when you're bringing out the hidden blade and you want to fucking not lose a fucking finger. Goddamn.
I think these conversations too post assassination. Obviously, it's something AC's always done, but to me, they're some of my favorite parts in every game where you get to speak to these people on their deathbed essentially, and what they reveal at that moment,
That last dying word.
ideologies they hold, grasp onto still.
Shit you gonna take to your grave.
Some of them are quite poetic. There's quite a lot of gravitas to those moments.
Well, and even you go back all the way to the first AC, Altair puts a feather over, his victims, and it was never really explained. But then we get that explanation here in Origins, where it's a hair-on feather, and it's it's meant
Day
to,
for the afterlife.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I think the only ones who didn't do like some type
We'll,
of
we'll be
honoring
wrapping
of
up
the
the
dead
stream.
type shit after killing
We'll be
somebody
wrapping
was
this part of the streams fairly soon, but we have more
fucking
to show you.
Edward.
We have a
Kenway
video
didn't do
about
no shit.
Assassin's Creed
And
stories. So
Rogue,
if you're interested in the books,
Shay.
the manga,
Shay didn't
more
do
things
shit.
about
Shay
Assassin's
talked
Creed
mad
stories,
shit after he killed
that's
the
to
nigga.
come right after this section where we're playing through Assassin's Creed Origins, which we'll be wrapping up shortly. But yeah, if you are interested in stories in different
I
mediums,
think that nigga name was Shay.
we've
I'm
got
pretty
more
sure
for
his
you
name was Shay.
coming up shortly.
Should we take a couple more questions before we say goodbye?
Yeah, sure.
Or
Let's see
actually,
what we
before
have.
I say goodbye.
Oh yes. Well,
Yeah.
well, we're saying goodbye
That,
to you.
you
We're
know,
going to show the video from Assassin's Creed Stories.
Edward
and
Kenway
then,
wasn't really
people will see
an
us again tomorrow. We'll
assassin
be back tomorrow.
per se. Like
But
he
thank you so much
did
for joining
end
us,
up
Jose.
becoming an assassin,
Let's
but
see
you
if we have any
know,
other
he just picked up
questions
the
in
nigga hidden
chat.
blade and goddamn got to
So
killing niggas.
EDA boy said, "What made you choose ancient Egypt to set the origin story in?"
When?
But yeah, he eventually got to
what
the
made you
island
choose?
with
Yeah.
the native tribe.
Well, it
And
was one of the top
they
requests
knew
by
he
the
had the
fans,
eagle
and
vision.
also
He had the shit. So
going
you know, it's a whole fate destiny
far
type
back
shit.
enough in the timeline. I think it was 49 BC. I think when the game starts, going far enough in the timeline. Obviously, we needed to visit a place and time before the original trilogy to explain what was the seeds that were planted to create the modern day brotherhood, right? So even going back to the Order of the Ancients, going back, we wanted to pick a place and time that was far back enough that allowed us to explain all these little things that became, I guess you could say, pop culture within the AC brand.
And that's what I loved about
And
it.
also this time and place. I mentioned earlier Cleopatra. There were so many things about that era and the social political circumstances that it felt like, this is historically speaking, it was such an oddity for so many reasons that it felt like, this was a nexus of two cultures coming together, trying to coexist for a very long time, different religions, different ideologies, different political structures. All this sort of gave us a really fertile ground to say, this feels like a time where you would have seen an evolution of something, right? It was sort of like a pressure cooker in a way. And yeah, so it felt like the perfect setting to tell an ancient story about how the Brotherhood was created. Plus, I mean,
Great
it was one of the
answer.
greatest ancient civilizations. So
And also how
maybe it
the
was a little,
Templars got their
moment.
ideology.
It all makes sense.
It was basically an origin
All right, we're
story
going to
of the
bring this
Brotherhood
part of the stream
and the
to a close
Templars.
and
Like,
continue on
basically
with
where all
AC
the
stories.
ideologies
But
came
before we
down
go,
and
just
met
want
up.
to reiterate what we went over at the very beginning of the stream. If you missed it, Year 2 content for Assassin's Creed Valhalla is coming, free to all players. There's a new game mode called The Forgotten Saga, so be sure to check that out. It's a roguelite-inspired journey into Niflheim. And also, as you can see here, Assassin's Creed Origins, 60 FPS on Xbox and PS next-gen consoles. Free weekend coming, June 16th to the 20th, so check that out. For everything that you missed, go to assassinscreed15.com. And there's a special event in September to learn more about the future of Assassin's Creed, so stay tuned for that. We'll be celebrating Assassin's Creed all the way until then, and even after that as well. Jose, any final words to the chat and to the audience who love Assassin's Creed so much?
Oof. Well, I mean, there's so much to play. I would say definitely try Origins in 60 frames per second, especially since you have the free weekend. It's awesome seeing it, and I know I sound super biased, but it looks beautiful. It's awesome seeing it in 60 frames. And also for those of you that are with us in Valhalla, do check out The Forgotten Saga when it comes out. It's a wild imagining of a myth that I think everybody knows. And also free, so try it, enjoy it. The best we can
course,
hope
try
is
the
for
free-
you guys
try
to
the
like
free
it and
shit.
at least be entertained.
Well, thank you for all that you do. Yusuf, so we're going to go
Thank
over
you.
to Assassin's Creed Stories next?
yeah, Jose, thank you so much, y'all. Thank you so much for
It was
rocking
my
with
pleasure.
us.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, Jose, you are welcome back anytime. You were
Yes.
That's
amazing.
what I'm doing, man. I'm
Thank
about to go and get ready to head up.
but yeah, we are going to
Yo.
kick it now over to
I'ma
the
do,
Assassin's Creed stories.
part 2 to it.
Tons of information.
When I get back later on, I'm gonna watch the rest of it, watch the other half. Y'all stay up, man. Y'all know that they follow me on Twitch, Draconodonymous. Follow me on YouTube, Talk Quan to me. What the fuck is my other shit? Oh yeah, I'm on Instagram at Draconodonymous. and on Twitch, Killer Q Corleone. Fuck y'all in a minute, man.